Live from a bunker in the heart of the Ozarks, a podcast that's currently on the path from Pod Bod to, well, slightly older Pod Bod. It's Sip Pop. Welcome to Sip Pop Weekly, streaming live most Saturday mornings, or available to download later in your podcast feed, unless, of course, you're a patron.
Patrons and perks.
Yes, patrons get those perks. I'm your host, Aaron Dicer, and get the popcorn out. He's going to do a speech. It's Andrew Ormsby, ladies and gentlemen. That was really good.
Thank you.
Really
I'm not gonna lie, I've been practicing that all day to try and perfect that.
That was beautiful.
Thank you. Ahoy.
Each week we'll chat about movies, TV, and whatever else from the pop culture universe is on our minds. And please welcome our guest this week. She's sitting there bragging about being saved by the discount Captain Marvel. It's Alice!
G'day. I can't beat that. That was insane. I can't beat a scream.
I was impressed with the tone. I was impressed with the texture.
It
wasn't
Literally too loud.
Guys, stop. Stop.
What we're saying is, Andrew, you're the GOAT.
I am the GOAT.
You are.
Man, Aaron, you are on top of it.
Oh man. Okay, so yeah, I've got a little bit of a new board that has buttons. Obviously, this will get old very fast.
No,
this will get old very fast, and it won't be used hardly ever again. But I thought since it was the first time with the board, we might play around and have some.
No, man, running into the ground, episode 1. Do it.
Right. Yes. Absolutely.
I mean, there's already been 3, and we haven't even gone past the initial intro.
It's true. What can I say?
He's got a fun new toy. Let him play.
Yes.
Yeah. No, of course.
It is.
I'm
fun.
just jealous. It's just jealousy. I want my own board.
Well, they do sell them. All right, let us get right into it, guys, because we've got a lot to talk about this morning. We are going to chat Thor: Love and Thunder. Is a Marvel show today, because we're also going to do Miss Marvel. Kind of that thing we do where we talk about every episode except for the finale. And just so you know, go ahead and give you a heads up on that when we get there. We do spoil the first 5 episodes. But I've kind of enjoyed doing this on Sif Pop, where we give our opinions going into the finale, because it's interesting. Like Moon Knight, I think we were pretty high on, and then after the finale, we never really talked about it. But I felt a little bit differently. I was like, I didn't quite stick the landing the way I wanted to. I still enjoyed the show. But it's interesting to kind of hear where we are at that point right before it culminates. So we'll do that with Miss Marvel again. And then we've got a best ever challenge, best ever Christian Bale movies. So best ever movies that Christian Bale has been in. He's been in a few.
Yeah, and luckily he's only been in like 5 good movies. No, I'm joking. Like, it was so hard putting this list together. It was so difficult putting a good Christian Bale top 5 together.
These top 5 could also be just like best ever challenge for best movies of all time.
Yeah,
you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Yeah. We will get there for sure, and then we'll do some buried treasure at the end as well. So if you guys are ready to get into it, we're gonna do some review. Let's talk about Thor: Love and Thunder.
Woo.
Are you thinking what I think you're thinking?
I'm thinking it.
What are we thinking?
Thinking what?
I'm thinking it too.
After his retirement is interrupted by Gore the God Butcher, a galactic killer who seeks the extinction of the gods, Thor enlists the helps of King Valkyrie, Korg, and ex-girlfriend Jane Foster, who now inexplicably wields Mjolnir as the mighty Thor. Together they embark on a harrowing cosmic adventure to uncover the mystery of the God Butcher's vengeance and stop him before it's too late. Thor Love and Thunder continues Marvel Phase 4, I believe, which not only includes these movies, but the TV shows as well. So it's a Phase 4 day here on Sift Pop. Brings, of course, back the Guardians of the Galaxy for a little bit because they've been hanging out with Thor. You've got, of course, Hemsworth coming back as Thor, and as mentioned, Tessa Thompson and Natalie Portman stepping in with their roles. So what did you guys think? Did you like it, love it, dislike it, hate it, or it was just okay? Thor, Love and Thunder, go, Alice.
I'm sitting on the lower side of really liked it, like teetering on the edge of liked it. But I think for now I'm in the category of really liked it, just low.
Okay, so on the lower edge of liked it.
I've really liked it.
The lower, okay, so this is always fun. So the lower edge of really liked it, which
high end of liked it,
just kind of liked it.
It's like I'm more than just liked it, but I didn't.
Like
I'm not quite as strong. Yeah, I'm not quite as strong as like I really liked it.
Not teetering on loved it.
No.
But teetering on really liked it. Okay, gotcha. I'm glad we really placed that. I love it when people turn, 5 into 20. Like you've got 5 categories, but we're gonna make a whole bunch of subcategories. Andrew, what about you? What's your subcategory? Did you like it, love it, dislike it, hate it, or it was just okay?
I'll commit to really liked it.
Oh, showing up, Alice.
Yeah. You?
I'm lower than you guys, but I had a good time enough to be in the high side of just okay. So I think it would be, I can see myself in a sentence saying, I liked that movie, but I think when I really think about it, there's enough here to kind of dip me down into, no, it's okay. But a good just okay. So there you go. Our general thoughts. What about the specifics? Alice, what are some of your specific thoughts?
Isn't Andrew meant to go first? He technically
we usually do. Yeah, we usually do the person. I guess he committed to really liked it. So even though you're technically in the same subcategory, he's committed and you aren't. So yes, Andrew, if you will start us off.
Alice, you just got to commit and you get to talk first. That's how it goes. I think without argument, the best part of this movie is Christian Bale as Gore the God Butcher. He just exudes evil in this, and he does such an amazing job with this character. Not only is he like creepy and eerie, he understood the tone of this movie enough to where he could even go a little bit over the top with the evil creepiness, and tonally it would still fit. So very, very smart acting on Christian Bale's part. He did a stellar, phenomenal job. It's fairly consistent with the comic like origin story of Gore. So I like that. But I do wish that we got a little bit more of him.
More Gore?
More
less
Gore.
Thor.
Yeah, more Gore, less Thor. Because there are parts of this character that are very just one-sided, a linear arc, as opposed to an actual arc. He wants one thing, and just the line. Yeah. So I think that out of everything in the movie that I love, I think Christian Bale is the tippity top.
There you go.
Yeah, I agree.
Alice, some of your thoughts?
Yeah, no, Christian Bale, he's so creepy. Like the whole time you're just like, oh, this is the villain I'd least want to go up against just because he'd scare me. Like I'd properly be scared, especially I'll say there's a scene that lacks color, and that whole bit was just awesome. Like it was freaking awesome. It just pumps the film right up. That was such a good moment. And something else I just want to say, like, I think that it didn't always 100% work, but I thought this movie was really funny, and that's part of the reason I really enjoyed it. I was genuinely laughing. For example, the goats every time. I don't know why it was so funny to me that they were just like there and just screaming. And but yeah, I thought that it had. I mean, it's Taika Waititi, so this is the humor of, my people, the Australian New Zealanders. Like, this is the humor I find funny, and so I was just having a good old time through most of it, and that really is what helped me forgive a lot of its other elements, for sure.
Yeah. Aaron?
Yeah, I liked a lot about it. I have fun. See, at the end of the day, like if you're going to go to a movie and you can have fun, I think that's a good experience. And yes, I can intellectualize some of the problems or things I didn't like. And sure, there were moments during the movie where I was like, I'm not necessarily enjoying myself as much here. But for the most part, I had a good time. You've both talked about Christian Bale, so I will as well. I think he was phenomenal in this movie. I think it would be so easy in a movie like this to play that character and come off as like Death from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Like there's just it would be very easy with the tone of this movie to kind of to fall into that. But he just takes it seriously. He plays it legit. He plays it, right down the line. And that's kind of one of the things I like about what Taika does is he lets his actors find their way into his tone because he's not afraid of tone disparity. We know that.
I was going to say, it's a really weirdly toned movie. And I remember every time I was like, but Christian Bale? Like, because I mean, he's a great actor, but I'm like, but in this movie, okay. Like, I was worried he was gonna take it too seriously, and then it would just be really weird and like there would be that disparity. But I was buying it, and I was like, yeah, no, he's the same as them, but on the darker end. And also, I will say something I did enjoy is I think this is just Marvel in general now. They're kind of over the bad guy for the sake of being a bad guy sort of thing. Like, I get it. Like the whole time I was like, yeah, I mean, I might have done the same, maybe not to that extent, but then again, we would see if I was in that situation what I would do. So yeah, and he sold that really well, and I felt for him a lot.
I just think because of the way Taika works, because he is I mean, look at Jojo Rabbit. I don't know that you could get a more extreme tone disparity in that movie from scene to scene. But that is that's where he feels the best, right? Like that's where he feels the most active is being able to kind of jump between comedy and serious stuff. And Bale just lives on the serious end of that for the most part. Actually, I don't remember anything hilarious that Bale did, but there were a couple moments where he kind of played with the kids a little bit where it was, you could tell he was like going for a little bit of
Fred
that tone.
Rogers.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Dead Rogers,
Mr. Dodgers. I don't know. So yeah, there is a tone disparity thing that Taika does that I think he really has to go for here, and that's one thing I was saying about this movie to a friend recently that the tone was very consistent. My friend was like, "What are you talking about? It is so inconsistent." I said, "No. Let me explain. It is consistently inconsistent." like you watch this movie from beginning to end and you're watching a Taika Waititi movie. It is consistent in that way, and that's the tone I'm speaking of. And I think that can be comforting. I think that can be comforting to just go to a movie and know, oh, these are the hands I'm in and this is what's going to happen, even if it doesn't always work for you. I think there's something to be said about that. So props to Taika for kind of being his own brand. I love that when a director does that. You're like, oh yeah, this is a Taika Waititi movie, or recently with Elvis, this is a Baz Luhrmann movie. Like you can really feel who they are. So I like that.
This movie reminded me of one of my favorite superhero movies, Shazam, where you have this childlike innocence of this Shazam character, which actually is child innocence. Just put it into a superhero's body. But then you had the 7 deadly sins in that movie, which really grounded you in the severity of the situation. And I think that with the same tone disparity that Shazam had. I think it works in Shazam. I also think it works here because Thor has been this, one of the most powerful characters in the MCU, heroes in the MCU, and there's not a lot that challenges him, I guess. So whenever you have like a Thanos or a Gore, the God Butcher, he goes from the goofy, I want to be everybody's friend, to this incredibly serious, powerful fighter. Very, very different from the Norse mythology version of Thor. I've said that forever, but yeah, I love the fact that this movie can make me laugh and creep me out at the same time. I think Gore the God Butcher might be the eeriest, most unsettling villain Marvel has put on screen so far.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I've been hearing best Marvel villain conversations, and I think it's a legit conversation. Like, I don't mind people throwing it into that conversation, but there have been some good ones for sure. But as far as like actual creepiness, yes, I think you're right. Yeah.
He's definitely the most villainous. Like, I feel like I wouldn't really. I'd be the most, like I said, I'd be the most scared being in a room with him. I wouldn't be like,
And yet, there is more there than his villainy as well.
Yeah,
which I think is one of the things that makes
not
it
just like
work. That opening scene is really, really good. It really sets the stage.
Well, I was gonna say it made me like laugh and it made me scared, but this movie also did make me cry in 2 bits. And so I genuinely was crying. Well, not like sobbing, but I did tear up.
Yeah.
Couldn't even see the screen anymore.
Just openly sobbing. Yeah. No, not quite. But I did cry. And I will also say, like, speaking on performances, I think when she was used to her potential, I really liked Natalie Portman in it. I just think, kind of teetering towards maybe cons and negatives. Like, I don't think she was quite used to the potential that she could have been. I wanted more from her. And I don't think that's Natalie Portman's fault, because I think that she was doing the best with what she had. And oh my gosh, she deserves the praise just for how she buffed up for the role alone. And especially because in the movie, she's going from normal Jane to Thor Jane, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, how did they film this? Yeah.
The magic.
So I wanted to call that out. She was cool. I liked Mighty Thor.
Jane is easily the driving force of this movie. She is the one whose arcs affect our characters the most. And that's without saying that of her own, character arc and motivations.
Right.
Yeah, I thought Natalie Portman was amazing in this. King Valkyrie, I wish could have been used. I love Tessa Thompson. I absolutely adore her. I think she's amazing. I really wish that it's difficult, I guess, to have is 3 a company sort of a thing going on here. But then
I don't think the movie knows how to use its pieces very well at all, actually. That's one of my big negatives, and we'll get there. You kind of started the Natalie Portman thing. I don't even think the movie knows how to use Natalie Portman very well in that role. But I think a lot of it has to do with how many pieces there are and how much they feel like they have to do with them in such a short amount of time. I want to stay on the positives just for a little bit longer before I kind of dig into that too much, because one person we haven't talked about that I think steals the show even more than Christian Bale is Russell Crowe. I thought Russell Crowe was phenomenal in this movie.
Oh my God, his accent was the greatest thing.
Like as much as Jeff Goldblum in Ragnarok. Like I loved that character.
You see this thing, which is a stage. Oh my God. I'll tell you, that is the Wog Greek accent of Australia. So I mean, for those of you who don't know, Wog is basically a European born and raised in Australia. And it's literally like an old Italian Greek man who's owns, a Euros place down the road, and he'd be like, what do you want? Do you want this or not? And I was just like, oh my God, it's just like that guy. Russell Crowe just made Zeus that guy, and it was the funniest thing. I could not stop laughing the whole time. It was great.
Yeah.
That's
he does steal the movie for his parts. Yeah. Gotta love Russell Crowe. Getting a lot of Aussies in this movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was filmed here, so
Yeah.
that's gonna happen.
I was gonna ask like where the majority of this was filmed, if it was either in Australia or New Zealand, because
I think it was Queensland, wasn't it?
Was it?
I'm gonna double check.
Queensland green screen. Is that where?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But
I will just say for I just wanted to do a quick research. Anytime there's a term for a group of people, I get a little nervous. The term that you used is extremely offensive in England. I don't know that it is in Australia.
And it's not in Australia.
And it actually doesn't mean what you said it means in England. It would be similar to the N-word here in America for someone of color. So
that is
wild,
that is definitely
right?
not. If you come to Australia, people are going to be saying that left, right, and center. We have literally a show called that. Like it is.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
So no. I just wanted to, because it's international. Obviously, lots of people listen to this show, different places. We have people on from England, you're in Australia, whatever. So yeah, that's just a quick Google search too. So
okay, there you go. Well, now you know if you come to Australia, that's what they're referring to are people like me.
So, you come in from more European areas.
Yeah,
to Australia.
just like old Italian and Greek men that are in singlets on on the side of the road with their furniture stores. And the film was actually filmed entirely, pretty much one bit in Canada, but the rest of it was filmed in Sydney. So, in Australia.
Okay.
So there you go.
Nice. So yes, I just looked at an article called 9 outrageous words that are said every day in Australia, and that is one of them.
Yeah, I will. There's a lot I have to check myself with. I'm like, oh no, the Americans won't like that.
Yeah. Okay, so there you go. Now that we've got that settled, genuine apologies if that was offensive to someone. We're all learning. We're figuring it out.
Gosh, Alice, what's wrong with you?
Oh my gosh, I used to say that in primary school.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry.
The world is a strange place.
I got called it. I am that. I'm sorry.
Let's, unless you guys have other things right on the top of your mind for positives that you want to throw out there. I know there's a lot of fun in this movie.
I want to say I enjoyed the level of color and just similar to what you said before. I do think that unlike maybe Ragnarok was kind of 60% Taika Waititi, and I just feel like Kevin Feige was like, just do what you want this time around. Just make sure these are the you hit these specific beats. So the color and the set design, when it was set design, and the costume and stuff was really exciting to see. It was such a feast for the eyes. And on that as well, I could tell that Taika Waititi was trying to add in as much LGBT representation as he could. So I liked kind of those moments of they're just there, it's not focus or anything like that. So I really enjoyed that. And they're kind of just adding that in more and more into Marvel movies, where it's just that's a part of society, guys. It just is. And of course, if you're a 2,000-year-old god, you're not really going to be really specific on sexuality or gender or anything like that. So I really did enjoy that as well.
Yeah. Andrew, did you have any other positives that were hanging on your brain?
The music, man. The 80s rock, it's everything you could ever want. It fits so
even
well
more than Ragnarok, right? It really felt like they really leaned into this in this one even more.
Yeah, they really leaned into that whole stellar 80s, 70s, neon synthy sometimes, but mostly classic rock balladness to give it that extra oomph of that operatic feeling. Oh, speaking of operatic, I don't know if it's a spoiler to say that there's a couple characters that return in this.
That's a bit. I think that's a bit. That might spoil a fun little moment. I think people would kind of, if they thought about it, would assume. But yes,
made me happy. Made me happy.
For sure. Yeah. And there are several moments like that in this movie. When I talk about it being fun, those are the things that make it fun. Those cameos, different things. Yeah, those are a lot of fun. So I think as we kind of linger in the positive space, I really do think this movie is it does not go very long without giving you something really, really entertaining. Whether that be something funny, a joke, or even a cool action scene or whatever. I didn't think the action was super amazing in this, but it was fun. Like there was some fun things going on. I will use that to transition into one of my big negatives about this movie is that it really jumped around. Like there were 2 or 3 moments where I was like, wait, how did we get here? Like did 5 years just pass? Like what happened? Like I just like, so there were a couple of those moments where either this movie was longer and for whatever reason they decided to kind of cut it down, or it's just that Taika's like, I don't need to do all that normal stuff where the audience is aware of how time passes. Like, but it's helpful because I get distracted. But yeah, the
pacing was that was a big thing in terms of the negatives for me too, where I was like, it wasn't, super negative in that I was like, oh, this is so bad, I'm not enjoying this. But I also was like, wait, how are we already here? How is she already Mighty Thor? Like, wasn't that happening like 2 seconds? I wanted to see the transition, and now I just feel like we're in the middle bit already. And then it just is like one thing, this thing, this thing, this thing. And it also, like, there's certain characters in this that are in the trailer, but they are so superfluous to the entire thing where I'm just kind of like, why are you here? Why did you take up precious time that could have been dedicated to other things instead? And so I really did feel that. And then I don't really think it fell into a pacing that I was enjoying until that maybe third act. That's when I was like, all right, this is going at a rate that I'm enjoying, but it felt like it was just rushing to get there. Maybe I'm not sure.
Yeah, and kind of jumping around, and I mean, there's a reason that there are these movie norms of establishing shots and 5 years later texts or whatever. And this movie just seemed unconcerned with that. Which okay, trust your audience. I get it. Like that's fine, but that jarring feeling isn't necessarily fun because then you have to find your footing. You just kind of have to figure out where am I, when am I, what's going on. And yeah, I think there were 3 moments specifically that I remember in the movie where I'm just like, wait, what? This is where we're at now? And it's not terrible, but it's certainly annoying.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you feel that, Andrew?
Yeah, I think what this movie does is there's no there's like no lull or a transition period between those types of like tempos and like tones that the movie's trying to set. Like it goes from one extreme to the next to the opposite extreme very rapidly. And I think the movie is trying to say this is the tone for this part over for this scene over here, and then for this other scene like in Omnipotent, like wherever they're going, we're gonna have this tone. But we can cut back and forth. Just please remember, this was the tone that was taking place over here in like this black and white area where it's like really creepy and scary. But then we can come right back over here and it's going to be happy fun. But don't forget, whenever we go back over there, you're supposed to be scared and creeped out. It's the transitioning that just is so jarring.
Yeah. What were you saying, Alice?
Oh no, I was just going to say the other big negative for me, and I was really disappointed by this because I thought this movie had a lot of budget, but there was a lot of CG that looked really cheap. Like, was that just
I didn't notice it.
I didn't either.
For me, it's more during the fight scenes there where people were getting thrown around and jumping. That's where the rubberiness came to be. And for me, it's just, I think, gotten to the point where Marvel, where I'm like, I feel like you should have the budget for that not to be present, and it to be not present so obviously. I don't know if I'll notice it as much when I watch it at home versus on a huge cinema screen, but it was something I noticed a few times in every fight scene. And I know it's because there's so much going on in every single combat scene in this movie because, again, there's color and there's different powers and different superheroes. But this wasn't present in in that like kind of monochrome scene, but it was definitely present in the ones with lots of lasers and colors and intensity. And I was just like, ooh, that wasn't quite right. Oof, that wasn't quite right. Like that was that CG, that sort of thing. That was the thing. It kind of pulled me out a few times.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't notice it, but Yeah, but I also kind of a little bit, if I'm being honest, space out during some of the action stuff because it's just like the same old quick cut, stuff like, okay, this guy's doing this. And so yeah, so I may have just missed it. Just kind of spacing out a little bit. But because that was another one of my negatives in this movie. I didn't think the action was that great. It was fun. There were moments where it was fun, but I never felt compelled by the tension of, how's this battle gonna go? Who's going to come out on top? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, easily I can't think of a single action piece like where like, oh, this move that this person did was really cool. Like,
Right.
I thought that one bit with the hammer.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about, but
yeah.
When you say that one bit with the hammer in a Thor movie,
yeah,
you know what I'm. Maybe I'll say that many bits with the hammer.
Maybe that's a sign of a negative when you're like, the one time the hammer came into play.
There's a dichotomy
version. Yeah,
no, I know.
There's a dichotomy between Mjolnir and Stormbreaker in this that I just adored. I thought it was funny every single time that that triangle came into being. I'm like, no, that's the old thing. You're the new. Yeah, I thought that was so fun. Man, Chris Hemsworth has such amazing comedic timing. If I find out this guy can sing well, I'm just going to be so upset that he literally has everything.
So, he can dance. He was on Dancing with the Stars in Australia before he hit it big.
And he can dance.
Yeah.
Wait, when you say
really
before he hit it big, you mean he was one of just like the dancers that danced with the stars?
No. He was like, so he was on
he was
this
a celebrity in
soap.
Australia.
Yeah. He wasn't known. He was on a soap here, and he had just left it, and then he was on. It was before Star Trek and that sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that makes more sense. I was like he legit was a legit dancer. No, he was one of the celebrities.
He was one of the stars. Don't worry. He's not a professional dancer. I mean, he could be. I don't know, but from what I know, no.
Man,
so the other one we've kind of touched on, and I'll just dig a little bit deeper into it. Is how this movie doesn't understand how to use its pieces. I'm specifically with the Natalie Portman character. She is supposed to be the driver of this movie, but it's so weird because she just completely disappears for a while. And then when she comes back, it's totally different. And then we really don't get to see a lot of processing from her of her own kind of change. We get to see Thor processing her change and those kind of things. But from her perspective, we aren't given a lot of time, at least with her, to process her situation, which I'm not, going to give away here. The other thing, Tessa Thompson's great in this movie, but just so underused and weirdly present in moments where she's not playing a role. Korg is kind of the same, although Korg is the comedic relief. He's going to be the comic relief, so he's going to be there probably more often than not. But it just felt like the movie didn't quite know what it wanted to do with its pieces. Even the Guardians of the Galaxy, is just kind of discarded. So, and I
felt
get
like
it.
That was they have to be here because of the last movie.
And that's part of it, right? Part of not knowing how to use your pieces is the fact that you're forced to use all these pieces, and so when you're put in that corner, you kind of have to find a way out. And I don't know necessarily how to do it any better, but you could feel it. I could at least feel it in the movie that it was just like, not everybody is being used well. And I know I've heard that some people were even cut out. The fact that I think Goldblum was supposed to be in this movie, and Peter Dinklage was also supposed to be in this movie, and they cut him out.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah,
that's a lot of people to be in this movie. I was gonna say with Valkyrie, it felt like because her character's got this kind of cool apathy about her, but I feel like it was too cool and too apathetic that's just what her character's gotten. And I'm like, okay, that's cool and everything, but maybe where's the badass from the last movie. Like that was a good level,
Right.
but I guess now she's over her trauma, and so now it's just the other element of her personality, and because she hasn't really been that developed between Ragnarok and now, they're kind of stuck with the traumaless king version of her. That's pretty much the entire character description. So I think it would be good to kind of spend a bit more time, because she is so cool, and Tessa Thompson's such an amazing actress, and I want more of her. Use her.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I'll push back on the Natalie Portman not being used to her potential, because I think that what she is doing in this movie is, you may, after I say this, you may say, well, Andrew, you just think that she is a narrative prop piece, but I think that she is helping Thor redefine what it means to be a god, what it means to be the mighty Thor, because up to a certain point, he always had the same mentality. Then Infinity War happens and Endgame, and we see Thor not really knowing what he's supposed to be. I think this movie, and especially Natalie Portman, help remind him of what he's supposed to do and what he's supposed to be, and what being a god and a protector means. And like self-sacrifice and caring and stuff like he's relearning all of these things, and a lot of that has to do with Natalie Portman guiding him along the way.
Okay.
Yeah, like kind of like a metaphor for a god, and it's his flock, his people. Like that's the it kind of realigned that he's not a king, he's not a leader in that sense. He's meant to more be that representation, but in order to do so, you need to care. And so that's I get that. Yeah.
Did the love story elements to this movie work for you guys?
Yeah.
I felt they were a bit rushed, like similar to the pacing where I was like, oh, okay, we're here. All right, sure. I mean, I would have liked one conversation beforehand. Like, I get that there was some history, and there was a really nice moment where they relay the history. I'll say their version, their up story. I did really enjoy that moment, but I still feel like, okay, but I want to witness a single conversation before we just launch right into that again. So yeah, I just I did at the end, I was like, yes, but there was a bit of just cool.
I agree. That's kind of my perspective as well.
Yeah.
I thought it worked fine. I think their chemistry is fine. I just didn't think the movie gave me enough of trying to figure out what was drawing them back together, or that kind of stuff. Let's see. I was trying to think. There was one other thing I want to say. Did you guys have one last thing?
2 post-credit scenes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, there are.
Definitely worth sticking around for.
Alice is excited. Very excited.
I want to talk about one of them, but I can't.
Are we doing a spoiler cast for this?
I'd like to. I think there are a couple things you put at the end.
Alice is like, yes.
Just about that, please.
Sure, we'll do a Sif spoil. Might be a quick one, but we'll do a Sif spoil on Thor: Love and Thunder. There are some things certainly worth mentioning there. Anything else?
I think that'll do it for me.
All right. There you go. That is Thor: Love and Thunder. I guess I will just ask this, and we'll talk about more in the Sif spoil before I close this up. What did you think about the ending?
I liked it.
Okay.
I was like, I had this exact reaction. Oh, that was my reaction.
Okay.
Yeah.
My reaction was, oh, no. I hated the ending. We'll talk about it in the Sif spoil.
Okay, interesting.
So yeah, we'll talk about it then. I think it is an ending that serves character and theme at the expense of story. And story has to be king. Yeah, thank you, Alice. I appreciate you getting the same response. All right, guys, that'll do it for Love and Thunder. Let's talk a little bit about Miss Marvel, season 1, episodes 1 through 5. A great student, avid gamer, and voracious fanfic scribe, Kamala Khan has a special affinity for superheroes, particularly Captain Marvel. However, she struggles to fit in at home and at school. That is, until she gets superpowers like the hero she's always looked up to. Life is easier with superpowers, right? So this is the latest Marvel TV show. What did you guys think? Did you like it, love it, dislike it, hate it, or it was just okay? And again, just to remind you, we will be talking about Miss Marvel spoilers through episode 5, which is all we have seen. We have not seen the finale, which airs next week as we're recording this. So, Andrew, you start this time. Like it, love it, dislike it, hate it, or it was just okay?
Loving it.
Nice. Alice?
Loving it.
Nice. I'm hating this show. No, I'm kidding. I know. I just, that's the face I wanted from Alice. That's all. That's the only reason I said that. It's one of my favorite Alice faces. It's the best when you can get that. No, I love it. I love it. I love
real
it.
Intense. Okay,
some people just want to watch the world burn.
I think it might be the best Marvel TV show. I think this is expert storytelling that is going on here, and it's also so beautiful to present a world I know so little about, right? Like I know so little about this culture as a white American Christian. Like, you know, the idea of spending time with this family and learning about how their day-to-day life, you know, impacts their world as, you know, Pakistanis in America. I am loving everything about this show. So excited to hear you guys pour some love on it too. Andrew, why don't you kick us off? What are some of your likes?
It's stupid how amazingly perfectly cast Iman Vellani is.
Right?
Like she is like
it is like her first thing too, right? Like
yeah, she's never acted before.
I'm not even trying to be hyperbolic here. I think she is just as perfect as Kamala Khan as like Ryan Reynolds is as Deadpool. Like I think she is like perfectly cast for this character. She's cute, she's adorable, she's funny, she shows emotion, she shows real fear and desire to want to do good. And she is an awkward teen. I'm like, she is getting every.
I believe her as a teenager.
Yes. And I didn't know that this is like one of the first like big things that she's ever done. Like it's
not just big things, just things like
in general.
She's never done, and this is the only credit on her IMDb so far.
Oh, really?
As an actor. Yeah. It's
insane. Look out, Hollywood. Iman's coming to town, and she is going to take over everything. Like she is absolutely perfectly cast, and the supporting cast as well. I mean, nobody is as perfectly cast as she is, but I think that they all work so well. Like Matt Lintz, the kid who plays Bruno, you know, I'm loving that dynamic there. Or her best friend at the Moscow school. Yeah, it's
her mum too. I totally buy that relationship. Her mum's an amazing actress, but like in this, I'm just like, yes, I feel this on a deep level as someone who was a teenage girl. Like, oh my gosh, the frustration.
Zenobia Shroff is, I believe, the actor's name. Zenobia Shroff.
Yeah. I was going to ask.
It's so believable.
Yeah, I was going to ask Alice because obviously I can get so far with my relatability, but it felt like you know, watching my sister and my mom and you know how they interacted as I grew up. You know, the dynamic between a mom and a daughter, and like wanting to take the good things of being your mom, but also wanting to be your own person, and you know, a mom wanting you to become a full woman, but at the same time wanting to protect you from everything. And
I can tell you, I felt a lot of this on a deep level, and obviously from a cultural context, it's different because I'm an like Italian who's living in Australia, who's a lapsed Catholic, who's white, so like not even close culturally context, but in terms of the mother-daughter relationship, in terms of the fandom element and the thinking like you know better. But now I'm also having that adult perspective, similar to when you watch The Little Mermaid and she's like, I'm not a child, Dad, I'm 16. And you're like, yes, you are, young lady, sit down, when you're an adult. Watching this as an adult and you're just like, oh gosh, this is not going to end well. I know exactly what's going to happen because I did this thing and I got grounded. And the fact that she constantly gets grounded, I'm like, yep. That was me. That was me doing, but like not for cool things like going to parties or anything like that. It's like going to AvengerCon and like doing these nerdy things. And so I relate to her so well. I love her awkward teenager and I love her imagination. That is the part where I'm relating so hard. And the way in which her imagination is portrayed in this show is, first of all, greatest texting animation I've ever seen. Like,
it's very Scott Pilgrim.
It is very Scott Pilgrim, but it's so interesting because, you know, we all know texting in movies and TV shows now, but it's so cool and very into the Spider-Verse with the way they're doing the like VFX and the color and the animations, and I'm loving it because it's so exciting for the eye, but it is also something that you could see a teenager doing. Like, that is how she would be picturing everything turning out. Like in the first episode when she's like, this is the plan and this is how it's going to work out and it's going to be perfect, and then it immediately starts going wrong.
And I was like, you're the best daughter we could have asked for, you know.
Yeah. I had something like that happen to me where I was like, it's going to be perfect, it's going to be fine, and then it all just crashed and burned and I got grounded. It was awful. But yeah, no, I'm really, really enjoying it. I think Aman Vellani is fantastic. And similar to you, Aaron, I'm loving just learning more about like not just Muslim but Pakistani culture and history specifically. Like I'll fully admit I was an ignoramus before this and I had barely even heard of the partition or knew what it was, and now I love learning about it. I love how much depth we got in the last episode. I was crying. I was
too.
Oh my God,
I was crying
beautiful.
during episode 5. Yeah, I thought it was so beautiful and so powerful, and it's just such a reminder. And I'm really glad we're coming to this place where we are hearing different stories and different perspectives and finding our way into, you know, different worlds, because it's a reminder that there are so many deeply human, deeply traumatic stories, deeply joyful stories, whatever the case may be, that we would be unaware of just because it exists outside of our norm. And the partition is one of those. And the way TV has been doing this is just absolutely beautiful. I think of Watchmen. I think of, you know, just bringing attention to the Tulsa massacre, and just, you know, all these parts of history that if we don't continue, you know, talking about them, just kind of disappear from memory. And, you know, it's so much easier to do the Holocaust, right? Because that, you know, feels bigger on a world stage, but is it bigger because of my cultural perspective? You know, the partition and independence in India for somebody who lived there was certainly as traumatic and as big and as painful and as scary. You know, I'm not trying to do like I'm not trying to lean into like compare your trauma, who has more trauma. I'm just saying there is a depth to the human experience that we don't get if we just tell our own stories, or if we just listen to our own stories. I should say. So yeah, the partition stuff was great. It's funny coming off of RRR into this, when RRR deals with a lot of the same kind of era of, you know, Indian independence. And I'm loving it. It's really cool, really emotional stuff.
Yeah.
Plus that love story in episode 5, I was just like, oh it's so nice, and then it was so sad.
Yeah, the entire time you're like, I want nothing but the best for these people.
Yeah. Exactly. And I was just like, I know it's not going to end well, but I still wanted to.
Yeah, you're like, the entire time, like from minute 1, you're like, oh, this is not going to end well, but I'm just going to soak up and enjoy it for as long as this episode will allow me to.
What you seek is seeking you.
Here's another thing I love about this show. I love that Kamala has had in 5 episodes 3 meet cutes. I think this is and technically the Bruno thing was like pre-existing. It's not necessarily we saw the meet cute, but there's definitely, obviously we know Bruno really cares about Kamala. Like, you know, we can really see that. But what I love is that
all 3 versions of the teen love story. You've got the best friend, you've got the hot popular guy, and you've got the enemies to lovers thing, which is literally the YA staples. So
but what I love is it never seems to dominate Kamala's thoughts. Like like Kamala exists in this world where yeah, these are cool guys she's meeting. She's, impressed by them or attracted to them or whatever. And, she's a teenage girl, but it's not something where then the entire plot revolves around the love triangle or love square or, whatever it might be. It's just she's interacting in her world. And I just think, to me, way too many times with YA or younger shows,
that's the focus. Yeah,
the focus becomes, oh, who's hooking up with who's in love with who, oh, let's root for that couple, oh, I'm shipping them, oh, and it's like there can be that kind of stuff here, right? Like, that's like, I'm not saying it's wrong for you to feel those things, like to have a favorite or want her to see Bruno or whatever the case may be, wherever your allegiances lie. That's
I'm
okay.
Team Bruno. I'm Team Cameron.
Listen, we don't talk about Bruno. So I
love that joke in the first episode too.
Yeah, it was there. So that stuff is fine if you as an audience member want to partake in that and and have favorites or whatever. But as far as the show is concerned, it's like, that's just kind of down here. That's just a teenage girl meeting boys. That's part of a teenage girl's life, but it's not dominating her decisions in any way. I don't know. There's something about the way it's handling that kind of teenage relationship thing that I really, really like. It almost seems more authentic to me, to what I remember.
I was going to say,
was just a lot of people in my life being attracted to some of them, having good times with some of them, eventually occasionally holding hands with some of them. But, it wasn't something where it was like my life was defined by, that kind of thing. So, yeah.
That comes later. That comes when the hormones are really raging. But no, I was going to say, like, it is cute is what it is. Because it's kind of like, it's in the beginning, you're just kind of like, ooh, what's going to happen here? Ooh, you're just thinking about it. But yeah, it's not like there's so many teenage focused shows, obviously like Euphoria is one of them, that sort of thing where you're like, I was not doing any of this stuff when I was in high school.
Foreign world to me, man. Like, I don't get those shows. Anytime there's in a movie, there's like a high school party scene. And it's like, this crazy party with a DJ and a pool. I'm just like,
and
where
everyone's
do you
having
live?
sex,
Like,
and it's just going insane. And you're just like, what
we watched Newsies at my high school parties. There were like 6 of us, and we just sat there and watched Newsies.
Yeah,
we'd call our crush on the phone and then hang up, that was the extent that you got. Or you'd accidentally like walk by them and think that you'd have like a movie moment, but it would never end up being that way. And that's just how it was for most of your high school life. You have a crush and the crush never eventuates. That's what it's like for most of us, and I'm glad we're finally getting representation, because that's just the reality of it. But moving over to other elements of the show that I really, really love, I know that this has been a bit of a controversial element, but obviously her powers have changed significantly to what they are in the comics.
Okay, so this is stuff I wouldn't necessarily know.
So yeah, because in the comics she has basically Mr. Fantastic type powers, where her like defining feature is that she makes her fist really big and has a big like punch, but she basically can change and like change her body and stuff. But in this one they made it much more like Captain Marvel-y, lightsy. I think that they've, from what I understand, they've combined a few other origins and just like put it in her story. But I am, oh my gosh, the way the powers are looking, the way they're being used, they're so cool. I'm like, I want to have that power. That's freaking awesome.
It's like she has access to matter from a different dimension almost. It's almost like she can manifest this substance through light, which is really cool.
A lot like America Chavez in like this remake. I was gonna bring that up. I don't mind the change. Like, it's kind of disappointing because the group she was originally with, I was really excited about seeing possibly them in the show, but that didn't end up happening. But that's fine. Speaking of, let's talk about the evil group in this. Like, obviously, it was like, once the minute we were introduced, I'm like, oh yeah, they're gonna be the bad guys. Like, it is like, I understand how Marvel does this now. They're gonna try and be friends in the beginning, but then slowly they'll transition to being the bad guys. There was no transition. We're introduced to them. They're like, hey, we're gonna be your friends, and then the next time they're on screen, they're already like, let's kill everyone. I'm like, when was this? Like, like, we've waited so long for this. We're not waiting a second more. I'm like, why?
Yeah, I felt that too. I was like, she just said she needed a little bit of time, guys. Like, just give it a sec. Yeah, I felt that
they
too.
don't
I
have
feel
time.
like the villains. Yeah, well, I felt like the villains were kind of, so far they've been kind of 2D, and so I'm interested to see where they go for the next.
Episode 5, kind of. There's some
Well,
stuff
until
that
episode. Yeah, but even then, like, I would say that's given way more dimension to Aisha rather than them necessarily, beyond the fact that, they're the reason she's dead. But like, I'm interested to see. I mean, I envision that the big final boss battle is going to now be Kamran with powers? Question mark. Like, I assume because they're all dead now. Like, So I mean, maybe one of them's still alive. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure they all got killed in the last episode. Am I wrong?
One of them survived and ran, I thought. And yeah, I think we're left on. I think we're supposed to be unaware as to if is it Najma? Is that the main Najma? I think is the main one.
Yeah.
If she has,
like, she's possessed her son, maybe?
Kamran, or has she sent him her love? Like did she have a change of heart at the end? Like, where she really, like, so I don't know if Kamran is going to fight with or against Kamala, which I think is the point. I think that's what they're trying to set up for the finale is, wait, what's happening here? Is Kamran, good or bad? I think he's good. I think something, even if there's
I can see him being a bit of an anti-hero sort of thing, where it's like maybe he fights her, but then she's like, no, don't do this, you're better than this, Kamran. And then he's like, I need to think about things, and then he just disappears into the night.
I need to think about things.
My friend is truly dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Doth.
So yeah, I'll be interested. I will also say I'm really loving not just the mum-daughter dynamics, but just the general family dynamics of
Dad's great.
Of Kamala's family, like
too.
Her dad and his brother.
Yeah.
Her brother, I should say. Yeah. He's so funny. I'm enjoying him so much.
And he's devout, which I really, really like. Like, there's an interesting respect for Islam that I think is beautiful. And I kind of envy that for Christian characters sometimes, because Christians are often caricatures, right? Like, they're often, but there is something interesting about a devout person of faith, especially one who, really seeks what it means to be faithful and to show love and to find the positives in religion and faith. So I like that character. It's really interesting.
The entire wedding sequence in this,
so good.
My face hurt because I was smiling so much.
Yes.
It's like, everything about this is great. The colors, it's just beautiful. It reminded me a long time ago, I went to a Cameroonian wedding, which was, very, vibrant colors and jewelry and extravagance and dancing, just dancing. And it was just, it reminded me of that. I'm like, this is just beautiful. And there wasn't everybody was smiling on screen just as much as I would. It was infectious. I love that sequence so very much.
Yeah, me too. I was gonna say, my friend said, like, when he was watching that episode, he's like, I forgot I was watching a superhero movie. I was just enjoying the wedding. Like, I was just having a good old time. And I really felt that too. And I also, to your point, Aaron, I really like how this show is showing the different, like, levels or just versions or just kinds of people who are of the Muslim faith. They're not all one color, they're not all one kind of faith. There are women who wear hijabs and there are women who don't wear hijabs. Like, you've got Nakia and you've got Kamala, and then you've got devout men and not devout men. And it's showing the mosque just like as a place of, gathering and worship, just like you would see people at a church. In other films and in other media, it's not in like we're at a mosque. It's just kind of like, no, they're at their mosque, and there's a whole like, she's going to get on the board and she's going to make it better and that sort of thing. And it's not about the fact that they're at a mosque and it's like a whole thing. It's just like, hey, we need to make this better. Well, I'm going to go and run for board, being on the board, that sort of thing. And it's just like a fun little, community political thing. And then you've got all the aunties as well. Like, it's just a nice element of the community where I'm just watching it and then I'm just going, oh, that looks so much fun. I want to be there, and I'm really, really enjoying that. And then on the flip side of that, I'm enjoying her like fandom element, the fact that she is just a huge Marvel fan and she's got a YouTube channel that gets like 2 views per episode.
I don't believe it. I don't buy it. If you're putting that, like, that's some high quality stuff, like the animations or whatever, you're getting at least 15 to 20 views. At least somebody's finding that stuff. Not 2. Come on.
But that was really nice, and I was just like, I could see someone doing that. And even though she's just doing it for the love, she's the fan that Peter Parker maybe once was, but now he's too into it. And so she's kind of that new one. And I can't wait to see them interact. Oh my gosh, it's going to be so much fun.
Oh, I hope that happens. There's so much unknown. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing these young Avengers come together too. Just kind of all these different kids that are kind of showing up. So anything else about Ms. Marvel episodes 1 through 5 before we move on?
I beg there to be a season 2 of this show.
Oh, I'm sure there will be. I
really hope she's in other properties, because I know that with Moon Knight they've been like, nah, that's it, and I'm just kind of like, what? And so I don't want it to be relegated to just the TV show.
No,
she's too good.
She's too good, and there's no way they're not putting her with the other kid powered
like Kate
kids.
Bishop and Yelena. The dynamic between those 3, I need that right now.
Yelena,
and America Chavez Bishop, as well.
And I think isn't she going to be in the movie? Isn't she going to be in the
I would think so, because I know Marvel that there was supposed to be a Captain Marvel cameo in the show.
Is it called the Marvels?
Yeah. I think they were toying with a Captain Marvel cameo in the show, and then they didn't do it for some reason, or I don't like. From what I understand, they could be lying. It could just be one of Marvel's many, many, many lies, ahead of things, so they don't get spoiled. But I guess the Marvels would have to include her, because that would include Photon, her, and then obviously Captain Marvel. I would assume.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, there you go. Ms. Marvel episodes 1 through 5. We're fans. We're digging it. Digging it quite a bit.
Please stick the landing.
Yes. As we always say on these, please stick the landing. Another thing we often say is, why couldn't this been a movie? And that's true of this one. I think this would have been a great movie, but I have enjoyed expanding the universe. Yeah, I have enjoyed expanding the universe. And I don't think there's some of these we say that about. There's superfluous stuff that feels like it could have just been left on the edit. This doesn't necessarily feel that way. I feel like we're including all the good stuff. So
no, I think with this being the format it is, if it was a movie, we wouldn't get as much stuff about the partition and stuff like that. And
before we head into the best ever challenge, just a reminder that you get to hear the show and check out the website and all the articles there because of amazing SIF Pop members that make it happen. If you're interested in finding out what it means to be a SIF Pop member, basically just means you decide to throw a couple bucks our way every month. It starts at $3, I think. There's different levels. And then you get different levels of perks as well. One of them, I think my favorite perk that we offer is all of the podcasts without any ads, and also bonus podcasts most weeks where we talk about other things. This week we talked about the Obi-Wan series. I think Andrew and I had talked about the first couple episodes, but we talked about the entire series with Alice. If you're interested in that, you get your own podcast feed. You can check it out at patreon.com/siftpop. And more than anything else, just thank you for even thinking about it. Thanks for checking it out and possibly sending a couple bucks our way. That's patreon.com/siftpop. All right, let's do the best ever challenge. We're going to do best ever Christian Bale movies Christian Bale was in. We will go number 5 to number 1, and let's have Andrew. Why don't you go first? Why don't you start us this week?
Let's start with one of my favorite westerns of all time, 3:10 to Yuma.
Great choice. Almost made my list. It was my number 6.
By the way, I did make it out of my top 100 movies with Christian Bale. Yeah,
not a surprise.
Yeah.
I actually this is a good time to talk about this. We have our lists that we make different times, different ways, or whatever. Andrew, I assume by the way you said things that you actually look at your list and kind of keep it consistent with what's on your list. I don't do that. I try to do it without looking at my list, and then if it's inconsistent with my list, it helps me kind of learn something about how I feel in this moment, because things do change. And what's interesting, sometimes I'll keep it the same on my overall list, but change it on the specific list. And it's that weird brain thing where it's like, yeah, but if it's the best ever Christian Bale movies, I like this list better, versus if it's just best movies of all time, I like this order better. So yeah, I find that stuff interesting.
I do find that, like, whenever I'm making these lists and stuff, like, I'm like, okay, I'll put 3:10 to Yuma at number 5. Should that be higher in my top 100 movies of all time list? And then I'll edit it, as it goes along. So yeah, it's not something where I just automatically go, oh, this is number 1, this is number 2. Like I do think about it. Like, do I actually like this more? So should this be higher? So it's always fun, and my top 100 is always changing. It's very fluid. But 3:10 to Yuma, Christian Bale is just the epitome of grit in this. And man, oh man, did I not expect this. But Russell Crowe can be such a good villain. Like, he is evil in this, but there's also something human about that character. And that's really what makes it fascinating. I'm trying to remember his name. I should have had it pulled up. But he played Charlie Prince in this. Ben Foster is
of course.
so shockingly good in this. I think besides Hell or High Water, this is his best performance. And that's coming from for a guy who consistently puts out top-notch work in movies. I love Ben Foster, and I love this movie. It's a great shootout, great tension, and it's emotional. Very emotional movie. I love it.
Good choice. Alice, have you seen it?
No.
Get it on the list.
Yes, it's on the list. It's like one of many, many, many westerns where I'm like, yeah, I'll get to it.
Yeah, no,
I'll get to it. I promise.
I hear you. I'll go next. My number 5, another Western. It's Newsies is my number 5.
That's my number 6.
It can be considered he's trying to go west.
Like Europe and stuff. Yeah,
I mean, it's in a Western country. Yeah,
it's in a Western country. That's about it.
Santa Fe's in the West. It's like the main goal, like, is to get to the West. No.
He wants to get to Santa Fe. Yet the entire movie takes place in New York, one of the most East Coast cities ever East Coasted.
Listen. It feels like a Western. There's gangs and battles. Okay, fine.
You know what? Actually, it's a period piece, like right at that turn of the century.
It feels like a West Side Story, I guess. And
yeah, there you go.
Anyway, I love Newsies. It is one of 2 Christian Bale movies that I just wore the snot out of when I was in high school. And I love the songs. I am an OG movie Newsies guy. The musical kind of annoys me because it changes stuff. I'm just like, give me the original movie. And Christian Bale's great in it. He's great in it. And it's a lot of fun. So if you haven't seen Newsies, I highly recommend it. It's one of my favorites.
One for all and all for one.
Yep. That's it. That's the one. Andrew, what do you got at number 5?
Do you mean me?
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was like, I didn't. Yeah, Alice is here this week. You realize that?
Alice, what do you have at number 5?
I have Howl's Moving Castle.
Trump.
Oh, sorry, Alice. Sorry.
Specifically the dubbed version. I just want to say.
Well, of course,
obviously.
of course,
Obviously.
yes.
Yeah, I
For
just realized
obvious
it has
reasons.
to be, right?
Yeah.
All right. See, I knew what I was doing. I knew what I was doing going to you next, Andrew.
Yeah.
I just was trying to get, skip ahead.
I'm surprised you don't have anything on your soundboard for getting trumped.
Oh, well, we
True?
should. We absolutely should.
Yeah.
So we'll have to figure that out.
Oh, yeah.
What is your number 4?
American Psycho.
Honorable mentions for me.
Messed up movie. It's a very messed up movie.
It's like it's not even on Aaron's honorable mentions.
I don't think Aaron likes this movie.
Okay.
Nah, I get it. Like I get the performance and I get the satire.
Yeah.
It's just I came to it late and I don't get the attraction to it. But that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
This is the movie that made me care about skincare, How can I not love
of course. Yes, of course.
Return those videotapes, ladies and gentlemen. You got to return those videotapes.
Be kind. Rewind.
Yes. Yeah, I love this movie. It's great.
There you go.
Eric, your number 4.
My number 4 is Ford v Ferrari.
Oh, that's mine too.
Nice.
Hey.
Well, why don't you go first since you got skipped last time, Alice? Talk about Ford v Ferrari.
Oh, that's very kind of you. Yeah, I'm. This movie and the Little Women that came out that year keep flip-flopping on my list as to what was my favorite of that particular year, but it was an exhilarating cinema experience. The sound design, oh my goodness. I never thought I could get so excited about car racing since Cars when I was a kid, but it was Christian Bale is amazing in this movie. He's just, you come to see Christian Bale, you get an amazing performance. And his dynamic with Matt Damon, the underdog story of it all. I love it. Who doesn't love a good underdog sports movie? And then, it's just so, so much fun. And then it's so heartbreaking as well, because you have this kind of, your classic sports movie triumph, but not quite triumph. And then it just ends so sadly. And you're just like, oh my God. And it's true. It's just, James Mangold knew what he was doing, and I really, really enjoyed this movie. It's just exhilarating. It's exhilarating. That's the word for it.
Yeah, it's just like old school, like own the audience kind of movie, and the stakes are clear, the characters are clear, objectives are clear. Like it's just like what's going on, you're believing everything about it. It's phenomenal movie making. And yeah, there are several scenes in this that are just like epic fun scenes to watch. Tracy Letts having the moment in the car among the top of them.
That was so good.
So good. Yeah, I love this movie. Ford v Ferrari is great. All right, so I think that brings us Andrew.
Back to my number 3.
Your number 3.
Let's go with, it's going to get trumped, The Prestige.
It is definitely going to get trumped. Yeah. Twice, in fact. Okay, so then back to me for my number 3. This is where I have The Big Short at number 3.
That's my number 3 as well.
Yay!
You guys just have the same list, pretty much.
-1. Yeah.
There you go. This was my number 2 last week with Steve Carell movies. This is my number 3 this week with Christian Bale movies. And man, just another great film. I talked about it a lot last week, Alice. So if you have stuff you want to say about it, please.
It's so much fun, and yet it's about home loans, like, and like shorting the market and stuff. Who would have thought? Like, as someone who has recently learned way too much about the housing market than she ever wants to learn in her entire life because it's boring and awful, this movie is so... enjoyable doesn't seem like the right word given the subject matter and everything that happens around it, but it is so much fun to watch. I think, this is something that I feel that Adam McKay's been trying to replicate with his last 2 movies, but hasn't quite been able to hit. It's this right level of, it's got the serious element told in a really wacky way and bringing the insane element of this true story together with the perfect cast of characters, the perfect cast of actors, plus the fun little vignettes with the celebrities. It's just, it's exciting. It's ingenious, really, because again, the subject matter could be extremely boring, which is something that they call out as to why what happens because it's so boring and people don't want to know about it. And then it manages to explain it to you and really get you engaged, just like as engaged as I am in something like Social Network, and it's just expertly made, really. Big Shorts. I really, I feel like watching. Maybe I'll watch it tomorrow.
It is one of those movies you can just throw in and watch. It's really good. Yeah, we talked about it a lot last week.
Very, very good. Yeah.
Not on your list, Andrew. The Big Short.
It was number 6.
Okay, well there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Andrew, I guess we're back to you for your number 3. No, 2. Number 2. You're number 2. Yes.
This is where I have Howl's Moving Castle.
All right.
The dubbed version. No, I'm gonna go with the sub version. Just the one that he's not in. The one. I think Howl's Moving Castle. It is the best Miyazaki film, and I love the dub version more than I love the sub version because I think that they got the best cast ever. They got Billy Crystal, Christian Bale. I mean, the voice casting is so absolutely perfect, and his voice, Christian Bale's voice, can be so calming and soothing, but at the same time, you realize, he can be kind of menacing if he wants to, kind of like how you don't realize just because the prosthetics and the makeup is so good in Thor: Love and Thunder. You don't realize how much his voice is really adding to the effect of the eeriness of that Gore the God Butcher. And the same can be said in a Howl's Moving Castle. Like when Howl gets mad, he can be terrifying. And a lot of that has to do with great voice acting combined with the amazing visuals of Hayao Miyazaki. So Howl's Moving Castle is my number 2.
Alice, what are some of your thoughts on Howl's Moving Castle since you had it at number 5?
Yeah, I agree. It's such a great movie. It's my second favorite Ghibli movie behind Spirited Away, but it is a close second.
I get it. I get it.
But I think that those really are like the two that are up there, and they're just so amazing. I agree with you. I've got the same sort of thing as you, Andrew. If it's animated, I'll just watch it in the dub, and it is so like the Ghibli movies are so well dubbed, and this one especially, it's just such a magical story. I love it so much. And speaking of Christian Bale's voice, it's so funny because at work last week we were literally having a conversation about cartoon characters that might have made children start to feel things they didn't recognize for the first time, and this was definitely one of those characters where as a little girl watching it, you're like, Howl's so beautiful. You
had a sexual awakening to Howl. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, it's
what is the people of our generation having sexual awakenings to cartoons? Me, it was just a rabbit. You had Howl.
No, there's a safety to it, right? Like I think the idea, the reason that happens is because it's not real, and so there's a safety to finding attraction there that doesn't feel like, I'm transgressing, somebody's.
Interesting.
I mean, it would be a lie for me to say that it was my first one. My first one was Kovu in The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride. However, my first less inappropriate one, because it's a human kind of, is Howl in Howl's Moving Castle. And so he has such a buttery voice in this, and it's so well, like you believe that you would fall in love with this man wizard creature thing. And then it's such a great love story. It really reminds me of, your classic sort of fairy tales that, again, have the right kind of dark elements, and it's so well told. And as a kid, you don't really get all of it, but you're still enjoying it. But then you watch it as an adult, and you get so much more from the viewing experience. Yeah, it's such a great movie. If you haven't seen it, what are you doing? Go watch it. It's so quick too. It's like 80 minutes or something. Like, just go watch it.
It's one of those movies where every single time you watch it, you catch something new and remarkable about it. So yeah. Nice. You watch The Big Short later today. I'm going to rewatch Howl's Moving Castle.
Yeah.
Do it.
So, okay. Do it. Done.
All right. My number 2 will likely get trumped. This is where I have The Dark Knights.
Yeah.
Number 2. Wonder what both of you have at number 1.
Well, it doesn't matter. Let's talk about what you have at number 2. You're number 1 then.
What? What? Huh?
No, it's
Wait.
fine. I'm pretty sure my number 2 is going to get trumped.
Yeah,
It's the
Alice's
Prestige,
number 2
so
will
we can
get
just
trumped.
move on.
Yeah, that's what I
The
thought
Prestige.
because yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we know all our number ones now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So back to you, Andrew.
Well, I think it's Andrew. Andrew gets to kick us
Yeah.
off.
Oh,
so-
yeah,
oh yeah,
me,
you're right.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Dark Knight, best comic book
Yeah,
movie
me
ever
too.
made.
I didn't get a single one on this list just for me.
You shared every single one?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's okay. No, it's
Aw.
okay. I have honorable mentions. I'm sure that I have at least one honorable mention. I doubt either of you have, so it's okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
I
But
love how something that I've complained a lot about comic book movies lately is that characters end up being prop pieces as opposed to being actual characters. And I think the best example of how it's done right is in The Dark Knight with Aaron Eckhart as Harvey Dent. Because you have the two opposing sides. You have the Joker, who is chaos, he is anarchy, and then you have Batman, who is rules, he is law. Like he may be breaking the law, but he is a justice and no killing. He has rules, and you have Harvey Dent, who's like getting tugged back and forth between these two the entire movie, and where it goes is it's a roller coaster. It's probably career best performances from all these. Well, not Christian Bale, because he's. It seems like every single movie he does, he gives out a new best performance of his career. But this is easily Heath Ledger's, and honestly, I think this is Aaron Eckhart better than Thank You for Smoking. For as amazing as he is in that, I think that the character, like the way that Harvey Dent goes, back and forth, and this is so great. Yeah, best comic book movie ever. Alice.
I was literally about to say, like, it's, I mean, hands down, best Batman movie. It wasn't trumped by the Batman. I will fight you. Like, this is the best Batman movie.
The best.
It's amazing. It's iconic. It's literally iconic. And the fact that I can watch it now, over 10 years later, what is it, like 12 or 13 now? Like, it's insane how good this movie is, how well it stands up. I remember being in the theater for watching it the first time, and it was a packed theater, and I was watching it with my dad, and there was the ferry scene where they had to, it was, you have to blow up the other one or you're going to blow up. And there was that moment where the score goes up, 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 and it becomes piercing. I was squirming in my seat. I couldn't handle it. I was literally like freaking out, being like, what is going to happen? Like, it was the most, and this was me as a 14-year-old. Like, there was so many emotions and hormones and everything going on, and I didn't know what to do with it. And it is so well done. Like, the whole movie is so well done. Obviously, Heath Ledger is insane. But I also want to say, I don't think Christian Bale gets enough credit for how good of a Batman he is. Like, he's just so dynamic. He's such a great hero. And then in this movie as well, like, he's so good, especially Christian Bale. Like, I keep forgetting in the movie that he's such a prestige actor. This is Christian Bale, but it's like, no, it's Batman,
Did you say prestige?
Sorry. Yeah.
Speaking of which, yeah. But no, so good. Very good.
I'll talk about it just briefly, just to say, I think that I have The Dark Knight ranked lower than a lot of people do, but it's still an incredible film. And and I do think the Heath Ledger part of it is probably the primary part of that. You could say, in many ways, you can almost sense Christian Bale kind of responding to Ledger's Joker in Thor: Love and Thunder, which is kind of an interesting thing. You kind of wonder if subconsciously, he's like, I want to do scene chewing villainry, so
yeah.
Well, it's interesting because initially Christian Bale in the Dark Knight trilogy, his Batman was supposed to gradually get more dark. But when Heath Ledger came and people saw his version of the Joker and how evil and chaotic it was, it didn't make sense for Batman to kind of dip a toe in that world. He had to be pure. He had to be. So Heath Ledger's performance changed the the trajectory of Batman.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. My number one is The Prestige.
Yep.
And I think, did you both have it on your list?
Yeah, my number 3.
Yeah.
3 and 2. 3, 2, 1. I mean, I don't know what other to say that hasn't been said other than, have you ever seen an absolutely perfect movie? Well, if not, I've got a movie for you to watch. Absolute
It is,
perfection.
isn't it? It is. It's a perfect movie.
It's just absolute perfection. And it's just one of those movies that reveals itself exactly the way it intends and then reveals itself later over and over again as you start to realize how layered it is, how meta contextual it is, and how it's, it is about movie making, which most of Nolan's movies could be laid on that metaphor, right? Like a lot of Nolan's stuff is about the miracle of movie making. But this one, it's somehow both extremely explicitly about that and yet also very subtly, subconsciously about that. It's wild how he can, excuse my phrase, pull off that magic trick. Like it is genuinely incredible. And that's that is The Prestige, one of the best movies ever made.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty much. And again, didn't it come out in like 2005 or 2006? Like, you wouldn't know it watching it today. Like, it is so well done. And just amazing chemistry between Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman and everyone in it. And I mean, it's a magician movie with Nikola Tesla played by David Bowie, and it's not ridiculous.
That's the icing on the cake right there.
I know.
You're a car guy too? You like cars too? Tesla?
Yeah, gotta love them Teslas, man.
Sorry, that was a Miss Marvel reference. In case you didn't catch it. Yeah. Any other thoughts on The Prestige?
It's one of the very few movies where, as soon as I saw it in theaters, I immediately bought a ticket to see the next showing because I just had to watch it with the knowledge of everything that unfolds. It is one of those movies where no matter like how old it gets, I'll always ask if somebody has seen it before I spoil anything.
Yeah.
Sure.
There are some of those movies where it's like, I know it's been a while, but if you haven't seen this, don't want to mess this up for you because it's a pleasure. It's an absolute pleasure.
Nice.
Well, there you go. There's our top 5s. Let's do honorable mentions. Alice, you mentioned you had some. Why don't you go ahead and go over yours first?
Yeah, sure. So one of them, it's on here because it's just the nostalgia, and it has to be, which is Pocahontas, Disney's Pocahontas.
Nice.
I mean, the songs are amazing. Yes, the whole thing is extremely problematic the more you think about it, and how much Disney didn't just tweak the story, just completely rewrote the story and just ignored real history. But the animation behind it and the music and just, it's Disney, it's a Disney princess movie. As a kid growing up, Colors of the Wind, everybody knows that song, and I love that song. Christian Bale's not the biggest part of it, but he's still like, it's still crazy to me that he's in that movie. I'm just like, what? Christian Bale is that guy? Okay. But no, it's still enjoyable to watch. It's great movie. I also have A Midsummer Night's Dream, the one with he plays Demetrius, I think is his name, his character name, but it's got so many amazing actors in it, including Stanley Tucci, Michelle Pfeiffer, Kevin Kline, and it's Midsummer Night's Dream is one of my favorite Shakespeare plays, and this is such a fantastic adaptation of it. It's so well done. It's just so engaging. The sets and the acting behind it, it's just an absolute expertly done film. And then the other one I had was Little Women, the 1994 one. My man played Laurie. He broke all of our hearts when Winona Ryder rejects him, and you're like, no, Winona, what are you doing? But but it's so great. That was like an epitome movie for me until the new Little Women came out, and that was just as good, if not better. And it's just Little Women. It's a great story, guys. Just watch it. Like, watch this one, the 1994 one, or the 2020. Was it 2019 one? Oh, they're both just amazing. I love them. They're great. But this one in particular, Christian Bale's a fantastic Laurie because you fall in love with him. He's so good. But yeah, those are my 3.
Andrew, what about you?
Yeah, I got a bunch here. Let's talk about The Fighter. You know me, I love boxing and stuff. And Mickey Ward. Yeah, Mickey Ward is an amazing boxer. And Dickie, his brother, who played by Christian Bale, went through some really rough, going with addiction to narcotics and stuff. And it's something that you don't see a lot of in boxing movies, where the family dynamic is just as, if not more important than the actual boxing in the movie. I don't think since Rocky, you realize, oh wait, is this a boxing movie, or is this, a commentary on, society and stuff like that? So I love The Fighter. I think it's a great, great film. Let's talk Vice. I think Vice is just an amazing performance and amazing prosthetics. The actual delivery of the movie was just okay. Mowgli,
I liked it more than you, but yeah.
Yeah. Mowgli is probably one of the best versions of the Jungle Book ever. I thought he was great in it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there's I don't know if you guys have seen it or not, called Hostiles.
Mm-hmm. I've seen it.
Yeah. It's him escorting a Native American chieftain across the plains, and the kerfuffles they get into is the goofiest way to put it. Rescue Dawn. This is it reminds me a lot of The Machinist, where a lot of the appeal to this is the body transformation that he went through, and the rest of the people in the movie went through, where they got down to 80, 70 pounds, and it just emaciated human beings. But it's still a fascinating story. And then two movies I have to recommend if you haven't seen. One of them was in every single person's dorm room had a poster of Equilibrium whenever I was in college.
I was considering that one.
Yeah. It's a fun, fascinating movie. It reminds me kind of a more sci-fi Gattaca, with Gattaca is all about achieving perfection, where Equilibrium is trying to achieve societal perfection through lack of emotion. The gun fu, I guess you could call it, in this is so cool. It's so unique. I think Equilibrium is a very underseen movie. And then a movie where I don't care who you are, I will fight you to the death. This is a fun movie. It may not be a good movie, but it is a fun movie, and that is Reign of Fire.
It was on my honorable mentions.
Reign of Fire is so much fun. It's such a fun movie. McConaughey is chiseled as anything in that movie. Aaron,
it's been on my list to watch it for a while now.
Yeah. Reign of Fire is a lot of fun. I think everybody knows the one that hasn't been mentioned that I'm going to mention, Swing Kids. That is the other Christian Bale movie that I wore the snot out of in high school. I'm aware it's probably not technically as good as some of these other movies, but you're not going to convince me of that. I
love Robert Sean Leonard.
Your logic says yes, but your heart says no.
I just love this movie unconditionally. Yeah. I will watch it over and over and over again. I think the music is phenomenal. I think the emotion of it is beautiful. So yeah, it's I find it really, really interesting. And the Robert Sean Leonard, Christian Bale friendship torn apart by Nazi Germany stuff is just it's just really, really good. Not available on Blu-ray. Can't find it anywhere. I apologize, but hopefully you can find your way to a version of Swing Kids, because it's really, really good. So,
you can find it. You can find it.
You can find it. There you go. Those are Christian Bale movies, guys. That brings us to the buried treasure. What's that one thing in any area of pop culture you want to make sure people know about? Alice, you get to go last because you're our guest. I'll kick us off this week.
Do it.
Sometimes with buried treasure, I genuinely don't remember if I've mentioned something before. So if I have, just tell me. I'll pick something else. Have I talked about Strange New Worlds yet? Star Trek Strange New Worlds?
Oh my god, that's mine.
No, it's not. Alice, come on.
I swear, look.
What are we, like the same person?
I swear to God.
It's
that's
magic.
mine.
It's like magic. Yeah. So I'll let Alice have Strange New Worlds. And unless you have a runner-up that you wanted to talk about, that you're excited to talk about.
No, I didn't come with one this time because I was like, it won't happen again.
No,
and then
of course
it did.
Just what's it like just to like have me in your head, Alice? Just like stealing all of your thoughts and ideas. All right, Andrew, why don't you give us yours, and then I'll pick something new while you're talking, and then Alice can do Strange New World. That's hilarious.
So, do my Bear Treasure now then?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
They just wrapped up season 3 of The Boys, and holy crap. Easily the best season. It was
I'm
shockingly
just through one
good.
episode, so there's so much TV to watch. I haven't.
Buddy, you're in for a ride.
Yeah, it's like I can see where some people be like, yeah, season 1 and season 2, it was just all about vulgarity and grossness, while at the same time being, a fun, goofy show. No, season 3. I don't think you could make that argument because yes, those things are here, but there is so much going on with Homelander. Anthony Starrs has to win Best Actor this year.
Amazing. He's amazing. You want to talk about perfect casting?
Yeah. He's a Australian, isn't he? No, he's from New Zealand.
He's New Zealand. Yeah. We'll take credit for him. We've done that enough times.
Go ahead. Yeah. Another New Zealander, you got Carl Urban, the only.
Yeah.
I mean, he's amazing as Butcher. The character arc of Butcher is a fascinating one. A character who is so hell-bent on self-destruction, yet at the same time wanting to make sure that he does right by the world. It's like those two things pulling against him. And then the introduction of Jensen Ackles this season as what's his name? Soldier Boy.
Yeah.
Like,
so good.
Seeing him for 52 seasons on Supernatural as this one goofy, hero that everybody loves, to seeing him turn around and be this
evil Captain America.
He's a despicable, evil Captain America.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Oh, yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah. He's basically like Captain America, but the boys' version of Captain America.
Yeah. And then
that hasn't happened yet. As I just met him in episode 1. I thought he was a nice guy.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, he's a superhero in The Boys, Aaron.
Yeah. I will tell you one of my favorite things.
Are nice? I don't know. Leave me alone. I want my heroes.
I love what the season does with Black Noir.
And oh my god, it's so good. Oh.
Yeah. It's different than the actual comics, but I like this. I like this way more than what they did in the comics. The character arc, because he was always kind of just a funny prop piece in the background, just he would just stand there and stare at you and you'd get that uncomfortable laughing going on, No, the way he's used, it's funny, yet it's so sad. It's so sad. Yeah. I love what they do in this season. Easily the best season of the show.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm excited to finish it up. Maybe I'll have to do that while you guys are watching Howl's Moving Castle and The Big Short. I'll finish up the season.
Oh, that's going to be a binge, Aaron. You're going to need to take a long shower after that. Because I was going to say, to your point, Andrew, the vulgarity and the grotesqueness of the first 2 seasons. Oh, you have no idea where we go. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Or what we go into.
Yeah. Already in episode 1.
I know. I was going to say,
that is in the first episode, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I was eating my breakfast watching that one. That was an experience and a half.
So guys, tell me why I should start watching Strange New Worlds.
Okay.
Well, you're not going to let me do my my runner-up choice?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Before we get into that,
I'm so excited to talk about Star Trek.
No, we will. I'll make this really quick. Westworld is back for season 4, and I am so in. I know this show has, well, first of all, been off the air for a while. Like it takes its time coming out with each new season, and I know people kind of have waned on it or gone away or whatever, lost interest in season 2 or 3, that kind of thing, which I still kind of enjoyed. I think this show's really found its stride in the end of season 3 and going into season 4. I think it understands that it's not just about the park, which I think is pretty clear in seasons 2 and 3, but every single season is kind of a new mind-bending, mind-blowing exploration of technology. And season 4 so far has been no different, and really excited to continue watching Westworld. So yeah, I'll throw that out there as my very treasure.
Yeah, agreed. It's way creepier so far too. I was like, oh, I don't like it.
I gave up halfway through season 2.
Oh
wow! You've missed.
You got some story ahead of you. That show goes places for sure.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll admit I had to watch what happened in the first 3 seasons before I started episode 1 because I was like,
it's been
what
so long.
happened in season 3? There was Jesse was in it, and then I don't even what happened, and then I do.
Yeah.
And then I'm actually I was similar in that. Season 3, I was like, yeah, okay, but I wasn't like in love with it. But so far, I'm really enjoying season 4. I was actually captivated by it.
Yeah. Well, Alice, tell us about the amazingness that is Strange New Worlds.
So this is the show that I finally broke down and got Paramount Plus for. I was holding off for such a long time because I'm like, I can't add another streaming service to the ones I already pay for. It's too much. And then I was like, damn, I really want to watch this show. So then I was like, you know what? It's enough now. I've got enough shows. It's worth it. And so I have been watching all the new Trek. I am a fan of all the new Trek. But again, I think I've mentioned this on the show before, and I've definitely mentioned this just in general. My partner is an old Trek fan. Like he rewatches, Next Gen and Deep Space Nine all the time. He's watched all the original series, and he hates the new Trek. We watched Picard. He didn't enjoy it. He doesn't like Discovery because he thinks that it's just so far from what
this though.
Exactly, because clearly they heard the fans like my partner, like Toby, and they were like, fine, we'll give you what you want, and they did. So Strange New Worlds, it follows Pike and his team on the Enterprise before Kirk comes along, so Spock is part of it and Uhura's part of it, but there's also a new cast, and it's literally like as classic Trek as you can get. Very similar to the Orville, which is obviously based on classic Trek, where every episode it's got a new story. There might be some very basic through lines that carry on from episode to episode, and if you need to, the previously on will remind you. But really, it is a new story. It's a new discovery. It's a new fun adventure.
Don't say Discovery.
Oh gosh, sorry. It's a
that
new
show has gotten really bad.
Something they found that is new.
Yeah.
And so they're such fun adventures. This is such a fun adventure TV show. I know I'll feel really good at the end of every episode, and not necessarily good because some of them will make you feel sad and some of them will make you feel scared and that sort of thing. But, it's not, there's so much out right now, which is so gritty and dark. And, even new Trek, it's all about like, oh my God, everything's going to happen and the world's going to explode. And, you have 13 episodes of that. And this is just like, all right, guys, for some reason, we're all acting like we're in medieval England, but we're on a spaceship. Whatever, just go with the flow. It is what it is. Just have fun with it. And it's a great episode. It is a great episode, but the whole show, it's just so much fun. This is fun Trek. You've got the other ones for the darker, you've got them for the modern. This is classic Trek brought into the modern world. And Anson Mount is fantastic as Pike. He is such a great captain. Yep. I was like, it's okay, guys. He got blown. What happened to him in Multiverse happened to him in Multiverse, but it's fine. He's doing just fine. He's in this and he's having a great time. And high recommend. Especially if you're a Trek fan that hasn't been on board with new Trek, this is it for you. And I've been trying to tell Toby to watch an episode with me and he refuses to, but I will get him to eventually because I know he'll enjoy it. Everything you've been asking for.
I hate making you choose, but because I haven't seen. What's a better Star Trek show, this or the Orville?
Well, this is a better Star Trek show because it's technically a Star Trek show. Also the Orville is kind of terrible this season.
I'm loving it.
I haven't started it. I haven't started the new season yet. Ooh.
Okay. I am loving this season. I'm like one of 5 people.
Yeah. I'm not enjoying it, but also part of it might be that I'm enjoying Strange New Worlds so much, which the Orville scratched that itch, right? The Orville was a show that scratched that itch of classic Trek adventures. And this show is doing it, but is actually Trek and actually built into the Trek universe that I know the most, which is the OG, the original series. So there's stuff in this that is like, you can enjoy this if you don't have knowledge of the original series, but there's stuff in this that is
just as an
that
FYI,
is so
I don't.
deep in me. Like, for instance, the finale of season 1, and I don't think this gives anything away to say, is really just a different version of an episode from the original series. And the way that it handles that is so interesting and so fascinating to me. By the way, if you don't know, Ian Whittington, who's on Sif Pop often, I've been on doing a stint on his podcast, The Captain's Pod. And we've been going over every episode of Strange New Worlds. So we do an after episode review of each episode. And it's been so fun because these characters are so fun to hang out with. It's so interesting to see what they're doing with the time right before Kirk. And the interesting thing is, the way Ian explains it to me, is that this is the actual pilot of the original Star Trek, right? So the original Star Trek with Shatner and Nimoy, actually the original pilot had a captain called Captain Pike, not Captain Kirk. And that one was kind of discarded, and then they went with the cast that you know. So this is, as Ian explains it, the longest pilot to ordering a series in the history of television. the pilot to this show was done in the 60s.
It was worth it. It was worth it, because this is going to hold up so much better than the original series.
Yeah, no, of course it doesn't hold. I mean, it's however long ago now, 60 years ago now.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm loving the entire cast. I'm loving the way they interact together. I'm loving the little quirks that each of them have. And Anson Mount is incredible. He's an incredible leader. And yeah, I'm enjoying it very, very much. So I high recommend for that.
It's worth Paramount Plus, people. It is worth the Paramount Plus fee.
Listen, if Paramount Plus wasn't already worth it just for every episode of the challenge, you now have Star Trek Strange New Worlds in addition to that. So there you go.
So Bruce Green in the Star Trek movie, the one with Chris Pine and them, Pike is actually in that movie. That he's a Bruce Greenwood who
correct.
So I guess this is saying that Pike was the captain before Kirk.
Correct.
That's always always been the even
canon.
In the movies that was the
Well, I'm just wanting clarification because I was never really an OG Star Trek. I was always a next gen guy. That's where all my fandom led. So it's good to know.
Yeah. Well,
it also feels very like next gen. Like it feels like a lot of the storylines feel like it's been, taken from those episodes.
Yeah, the way that the Next Generation is able to be goofy or fun or have like these one-off, episodes that are, completely off the rails or whatever. Like you can sense in Strange New Worlds, they can do that kind of stuff, and they kind of did even a couple times in the first season. So there is an episode that is basically a remake of Aliens. In the first season of Strange New Worlds.
It's so good though. It's oh my
it's my least favorite, but we can talk about that later.
There's also one that's kind of a Freaky Friday remake.
I'm gonna watch it
broadly, but the Aliens is direct. Like it is very, very direct. So all right, there you go. There's our buried treasure. Strange New Worlds is on Paramount Plus. Westworld is on HBO and HBO Max, and it's been so long I've forgotten what Andrew's buried treasure was.
Boys.
The Boys is available
Amazon Prime.
On Amazon Prime. So there you go. Well, we did it, guys. We managed to do a podcast, and with everything I've gone through this morning that the listener doesn't know about, that is a success.
Fun behind the scenes.
We usually joke about celebrating, but I am celebrating hardcore this morning that we actually got this done. Thanks so much for joining us today for Sif Pop. It is part of the Studio DNA Podcast Network. You can find out more about other shows on the network at studiodna.media or by searching Studio DNA in your podcast player. Huge thanks to Andrew for hanging out today. Big thanks to producer Phil for producing the audio and video show.
Thanks, Phil.
And thank you to Alice for coming by again. We love you, Alice.
Thank you.
I don't have the sound effects ready. There we go. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey! Woo!
Thank you very much. I expect that every single time now.
Anything that you would like to promote?
I actually have something to promote.
Yay!
Yeah, so obviously, yes, I'm a writer on sifpop.com as well, and my most recent one is the Obi-Wan review, and I have one about to come out as well for the movie The Princess. I didn't realize how angry I was at the movie till I was writing it. So it's a corker of a review if you want to read it. But the thing I want to promote, so at my work, for those of you who don't know, I work in video production in Melbourne, and there's a producer at my work, and we get on so well, and we're constantly talking about all movies all the time. And people finally were like, why don't you just do a podcast or something? Oh my gosh. And so we were like, fine. And we did the awesome thing, and we made our own YouTube channel called Clean Slate. You can find it, Clean Slate or Clean Slate Reviews on Instagram. And we have, basically just been doing videos. We've got, I think, 4 or 5 up at the moment.
Nice.
So we do reviews. Our most recent one is of Doctor Strange. We also do debates. So we debated what was the best decade of cinema. He argued for the 70s. I argued for the 2010s. And then we do theories. We do as well retrospectives. And then our video that's actually going to come out tomorrow and will already be out for those listening when the podcast goes out on their players, is going to be a top 10 fantasy films of all time. So it's a lot of fun. We're really enjoying it. We are, figuring out all the kinks of filming, that sort of thing. But as 2 film professionals and 2 massive movie fans, it's been so much fun to do. So yeah, find it on Clean Slate. On YouTube, obviously, I would Google YouTube, Clean Slate, and then like Doctor Strange or Paddington. It'll be faster to find it. Or on Instagram, you can find us at Clean Slate Reviews. And yeah, that's the new thing with me.
Clean
Subscribed.
Clean Slate Reviews, sub on YouTube. Find that wherever you like. And thank you for supporting Sif Pop. Sif Pop members, we appreciate you. Support starts at $3 a month, and you get access to all the bonus episodes at certain levels, as well as some other fun perks you can check out there. Patreon.com/SifPop. Lots of ways to connect with the podcast. You can leave a comment, a rating, or a review at Apple Podcasts, or you can email us, feedback@sifpop.com. And finally, if you're having a good time, your movie-loving friends will probably like the show too. So let them know about it, and that listening is much easier than pulling off a polyamorous relationship with your weapons. We will be back next week with more fun stuff. I haven't decided officially what we will be talking about next week, but we'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, live viewers, for hanging out with us.
Yes.
Castriff, Jay Bourgeois, Dan, Frank, Nick, Evan, having a good time. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us on a Saturday morning. Gotta run because we've got to do some Sif spoils, but we love you guys.